Hey y'all, it's Ashley. You're in the safe zone. I wanted to share a story with you and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm going to read you a book. The King and the Broom Maker. The King and the Broom Maker. There was once a king who was round and fat, and every day he sat in his beautiful castle, ruling his kingdom, except on Sunday and Saturday afternoons. Sometimes, when the papers rose like mountains on his desk, he would sigh deeply. His dog Rex would wag his tail as if he understood. Not far from the castle lived a broom maker who was also round and fat. Every day he sat in his shop making brooms, but sometimes the broom maker was tired of working. And so he would close his shop and hang a sign on the door and go fishing with Whiskers, his cat. One day, the king stood looking out of his window, taking a rest, and the broom maker drove by in his cart. The king said to himself, "What a lucky man. He doesn't have to rule a kingdom all the time. All he does is make brooms." The broom maker looked up and saw the king in the window and thought, "Lucky man. All he has to do is look out the window all day long, waiting for delicious things to eat." Suddenly, the king rushed down the royal stairway and invited the broom maker into his castle. And as the two stood facing one another, they burst out laughing. They looked exactly alike. And then the king had an idea. "Let's change places," he shouted, and the broom maker thought this was a wonderful idea. And as they put on each other's clothes, they also exchanged advice. The king told the broom maker about a drawer in his desk where he should put papers he cannot understand. The broom maker gave the king a long list of customers and warned him that some of them may complain about the way the king ruled. He also told the king to put a sign on the door which said "back in 10 minutes" whenever he felt like going fishing. This was much smarter than saying "have gone fishing." And then people might think that the broom maker was just a lazy lout. So, after a while, the broom maker found out how difficult it was to rule a kingdom, and the king had a terrible time making just the right kind of broom. He tried so hard that his thumb was swollen. Oh my gosh. So, finally, he went back to the castle. The broom maker was delighted to see him, for his head was spinning from trying to make royal decisions. They changed back into their own clothes, shook hands, and thanked one another. The king appointed his friend Royal High Master Broommaker. And while he was the king, the broommaker had learned a fancy new handwriting with lots of curlicues and swirls. And while he was a broommaker, the king had learned what the people thought about the way that he had ruled the kingdom. They both agreed on one thing: ruling the kingdom and making brooms are both jobs which have to be learned. No one in the whole kingdom ever knew that they had changed jobs, except for you and me. Rex the dog, Whiskers the cat. And as they said goodbye, the king gave the broommaker a last bit of advice. Always make a few brooms for left-handed people. And the broommaker also had some advice which he whispered to the king, who has followed it to this very day. The end.